Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you have had an amazing weekend and I really hope you're positive about starting this Monday. While I'm asking you to be super positive about Mondays, I myself have been very sad since morning because it's a Monday, but we have to work, we have to keep going. And the more we prepare our minds to, just be ready for challenges, I think it also helps us deal with our challenges as the week goes by. Well, today I'm here to talk about our 20s and, just list down a number of questions that you could maybe be asking yourself while you deal with the various challenges that we face in our 20s. So while 20s are seen as the that time in your life where it's full of opportunities. You should be traveling, you should be planning new projects, you should be doing like 10 side gigs at this point in this generation. But we often don't talk about the challenges that a lot of people in their 20s, early 20s, late 20s, and even mid 20s face. And we're just expected to deal with it on our own, whereas a lot of times there's lack of assistance, there's lack of a possible safe space where you could be talking to others your age or people who are older than you, people who have already been through that turmoil of figuring things out, not being able to figure things out. And so yeah, let me just start with part one, which where I'm gonna ask you to ask yourself who you really are. So, who am I when nobody's watching? Right? Like, who do I want to be as a free individual soul who just wants to do her thing, uh, work in a certain way, enjoy her life in a certain way, and just, I would just like to be myself in this house all the time. And how can we really create that kind of spaces um, and surround ourselves with people who actually allow you to be yourself instead of having to pretend to be a certain way. So that's number one. Number two, what parts of me are real and what parts are performance? So how much of myself am I being able to share truly with my loved ones, to begin with, just your loved ones, um, and how much am I having to just pretend, and just how much of myself am I really just letting go because I want to please other people. uh, I've totally been a people pleaser for the longest time. I'm working on it. I think I've gotten better, but you never know. um, Question number three, what beliefs about myself did I inherit and do I still want to carry them? Think about it. Number four, what makes me feel most like myself? So, I mean, well, dancing, photography, traveling, totally going to a new place and exploring the streets, the food, the you know talking to people there and finding out about their culture or cultures throughout the day until and unless my body is exhausted. So that's myself, right? That's the real me. I want to be carrying on to, like holding on to and carrying um throughout my years to come. So that goes part number one. Now moving on to part two. So the point is, your 20s are messy, yes, and there are complicated things, there are confusions, there's a lot of commitment that you're scared to make. But I think choosing yourself over who you're expected to be, or who you're I don't know, somebody told you that you need to be, is something that you need to really, really work on. So hold on to that self, hold on to yourself, and hold on to that younger version of you who wanted to grow up and become a certain person, a certain kind of person. Moving on to part two, which is relationships and boundaries. So let's talk about love, not just romantic love, but family, parental, just everyone, just how you're related to everyone and how you set boundaries and also respect to like also respect others' boundaries. Um, so this is question number 5 if we continue. Who truly sees me and who only sees the version of me that serves them? Hmm. Number 6. Do I feel safe to take up space in my relationships? And again, I would just repeat here, by relationships, I don't mean just your romantic partner. I mean every relationship that you have. It could be friends, it could be your parents, it could be someone else in the distant, like a distant relative in the family. All those things count. So think about it. Number 7, do I know how to say no without feeling guilty? I shouldn't be, I really shouldn't be talking about this. Um, I think for some of us, saying no is like a huge step, first step towards setting boundaries, because we always keep, I mean, I have been that person in my teenage. Um, I think even like in my early 20s, I'm 25 now. So even in my early 20s, I've found it very difficult to say no. And I feel like saying no is equal to being super rude. So that's really challenging. Um, when I want to just maybe choose staying home and taking a day off instead of going out with people. So it can be something as casual as that. It's not even important. If I'm not there, maybe there's not going to be a huge issue or anything, but I would just drag myself out there, force myself to just show up on a day where I really needed to be taking care of myself. So that's like self-care 101. um, Number 8. Am I staying in certain relationships because of love or because of fear? Now, this is really difficult to talk about, or to even just sit and think about it, because it's important to know or to realize how much of your time and effort are you going to continue giving for people or for one single person even who wouldn't do the same for you. Now, genuine cases of being busy and getting occupied and all of that, I understand. But sometimes there are friends, there are relationships where you're just giving and giving and giving. Maybe you don't expect anything back from them, but would they even be there for you, even for once? So you really need to be keeping an eye out for that, and surround yourself with people who genuinely want to be there for you. And I don't mean like physically being there for you, meeting you every day, being on the phone 24 into 7. I don't mean to say that. I have really close good friends that I speak to maybe once or twice in a month, because they're living in a different city. They have their own thing going on. They are busy. They're truly busy, and they're dealing with their own struggles, right? And maybe we get to meet maybe like once or twice a year only. But these are the people I would call when I'm stuck in a really bad situation, or if they are in a bad shape and they need somebody to just simply talk to. So you really need to be surrounding yourself with people like that, who would come halfway to meet you, and that's really important. um, Part 3 of this whole conversation is purpose and passion. So this one's big because we are constantly in a rat race, constantly told to chase success. But how about we hit the pause button and think about what is success to you? I mean, success might mean a completely different thing to me. a totally different thing to my partner. Um, so how do we navigate that, and how do we convince ourselves to follow a certain kind of disciplined life to achieve the targets that we have, but at the same time not excessively stressing over it and forgetting to take a break, because a break is always necessary, I feel. So question number 9 for you: what would you do if I wasn't sorry what would I do if I wasn't afraid of failing or disappointing anyone? Like, what is that thing, what is that career path that I would maybe choose for myself if I wasn't thinking about everyone else in my family or my circle or my immediate competitors in the classroom? So that. Number 10: what do I do that makes time disappear? What is it that makes you feel like, you know, I don't need to be worrying about time, I don't need to be worrying about a certain deadline or anything like that? um, yeah, it's a lot to think about, truly. Number 11: what version of success actually makes me feel at peace, not just praised? So which achievement of yours made you feel really happy and proud of yourself? Like, not the kind that gives you external validation and all of that, but really makes you feel happy, genuinely proud of yourself. Ask yourself that question. Number 12: what small impact do I want to leave in the lives I touch? um I mean, there's let's talk about my life, right? My work. So I work as a content writer and a creator as well. Totally two different segments of my life, because one is very technical, because I mostly deal with financial brands, um, and financial writing, which is again very technical. But at the same time, my other segment is a lot to do with creative ideas and creating content that talks about women's healthcare, women's like sanitation issues, uh, just in general self care and embracing your body. So these things, right? Now, while the writing profession that I have, that might be paying my bills a lot more easily. Sadly, we live in this world, this country, this part of the country where creative people often are really underpaid, and yeah, it's tough to just completely leave everything else and go ahead with your passion, because sometimes you do need to be worrying about how much you're earning and how you're gonna feed your family. So there's that. Now, while my technical career part of it might be paying my bills, my salary hike is great to hear about, all of that, but this photo series I created might have resonated really deeply with 4 or 5 people who have personally texted me and shared how they have been feeling insecure about their bodies, and how this certain project that I created with other fellow creators, photographers, and other artists really touched them, really made them feel better, gave them hope, or just, make them think about taking that first step towards acceptance and self love. So I'm sure this is what makes me more genuinely happy. But again, the other work that I do is something that's going to help me sustain my creative side in certain ways, because otherwise it's difficult to balance both, and it's difficult to continue creating when there are financial things to worry about for me. So that's my story. That's a bit of just a little anecdote from my end. But yes, do think about what work truly makes you feel, leaves you with a fulfilling happiness, and how can you continue? How can you keep creating? How can you keep working in that sector? And what are the possibilities? You do have to take that risk. I mean, even with my job, I chose freelancing as a content writer, which is risky. There have been months where I have gone without any project and I've struggled to get into smaller projects here and there. But at the same time, it makes it possible for me to make time for everything that I do. And here we are. So, part 4 that I would like to talk about is mental health and emotional well-being. And let's check in. Let's take a pause and think about not what you're doing, but how you're feeling, right? Um, question number 13 for you. What emotion am I avoiding right now and why? Number 14. How do I show myself compassion when I mess up? Number 15. What does rest look like for me beyond just sleep? Number 16. When did I last truly feel aligned and what was I doing? So, the point is, you're not, and this is something I'm saying out here, but I should be listening to myself, like taking my own advice. Um, you don't have to constantly be productive. That's like, that's your job part of it, but your job is not your life. Like your 9 to 5, your freelance project, your 10 other projects that you're simultaneously working on, that's part of your life, not your life. So make time for yourself, make time for your family, your friends. Just go out. Sometimes I've found that just taking myself out on that one date where I eat alone at a cute cozy cafe and then just maybe go for a movie or go shopping, just things that I do for myself, I deserve that. So you need to be telling yourself the same thing, that you deserve to take that break and you deserve to pamper yourself before anything and anyone else. Um, to end this whole conversation, a few final questions about lifestyle and alignment and the kind of life you want to be living. Uh, Number 17, am I living in a way that aligns with my values or just my habits? So, am I actually getting out of that comfort zone that 18-year-old, 19-year-old Gayatri was really super fine with? So, have I gotten out of that space or am I still stuck? Um, Asking yourself to get out of your comfort zone can be super challenging right out of school or right out of college, the university, because there's a certain lifestyle we are used to, there are certain challenges we face daily, and it's part of the normal, and we know how to tackle those situations. But then you join a company, you're working for a company, and a lot of things change. How you talk, how you behave, how you well, you're not always really making friends at work. That's another boundary that we do need to consider thinking about. Not everyone you meet is your friend. Some of them are just your colleagues or one of your boss's family that you meet at some company function, meetup, meeting, whatever, but not your friends. So that's one thing. Number 18, do I feel safe and at home, not just where I live, but inside myself. Number 19, am I letting social media define my goals, my body, my worth? So all these posters from brands, like fashion brands and everything, I'm super happy about how in certain ways, certain regions, certain countries in South Asia are slowly changing in terms of showcasing different bodies in fashion, in films even. But that stigma, that internalized thing that we grew up with, it's not gonna go away overnight, because I remember growing up at the age of 5 or 6 hating the color of my skin. Not because I personally didn't like it, but because fair and tall was the likable aim. And honestly, even though my family has been super supportive, my husband's family at this point, my extended family, They're super cool, they're super nice about these things, super supportive. But I do hear from other friends how they face a lot of discrimination based on how they look. They face a lot of hate based on how they look within their families, and that's a big struggle for people. Something that won't just go away overnight again, but something at least we can try to be more inclusive of people. We can try to be kinder. At least our generation can hope to, make sure that younger kids today don't feel the same way we used to 20 years back. So, yeah, there's that. Number 20, if I could speak to my younger self, what would I say? So, just what I was talking about right now. Um, there's so much I would want to say to my younger self that that could be another another conversation altogether. But most importantly, just this reminder that you, and I've been reading this a lot online these days, on Instagram at least. You might not be what you want to be right now. Like, you're probably not at that stage in life. Your achievements, your targets, you're not there yet right now. But think about your younger self from 5 years back. He or she, they're super proud of you right now. They're super proud of what you have become, who you have become, and where you are in your life. So that's pretty much it. That's total 20 questions that you could ask yourself in your 20s, or even later on in life for that matter. But yeah, that this was the purpose. um, your 20s, your life isn't supposed to be perfect. It's not a perfect Bollywood happy ending movie, right? So you're just supposed to navigate through things slowly and figure out a way to reflect on your thoughts, sit down with your thoughts, and help yourself deal with things while you talk to others, while you surround yourself with others who are going to be there for you and help you through it all. I hope you find that person. I hope you can be that person to somebody in need. And keep coming back to this channel for more. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, tell me in the comments what you think and which question made you think a lot maybe, and have a great day. Bye bye.